Midi Lush, and I'm here outside the Hub Culture Ice House here in Davos. It's 2022. It's the summer, which is so weird, right?
Very weird indeed. There were flowers on the drive up, which I love.
So back here with one of my favorite guests, Doug McCauley, professor at University of California, Santa Barbara, and director of the Benioff Ocean Initiative. Now, we've had many conversations over the last few years. One of the things that I think has become really apparent to many, many people is how important these carbon sinks are. Now we think about the trees behind us and the mountains being one, but the ocean is also one, right?
Absolutely. And often a forgotten one. So we have these wonderful forests indeed with our own set of saltwater trees and other ecosystems underwater in the ocean that sequester carbon, in fact, even faster than some of our forests on land. And it's not a race. Well, it is a race to capture carbon, but it's not. We have a lot of wonderful nature that is there, ready to do the service of capturing carbon and creating benefits. And people forget that there are a lot of those assets sitting in the sea. The mangroves, for example, which are one of these blue carbon ecosystems.
Blue carbon as opposed to green carbon. So that's the term that we should use, is that right?
Well, anything in the ocean, folks attach to blue. We have blue finance and blue carbon, but you're spot on. So these mangrove forests, which you can find anywhere in the world that has a coastline and is warm, people have estimated can actually capture carbon about 4 times as fast as a forest on land, a tropical forest on land. And that's a lot of carbon. And they give you a whole bunch of benefits while they're actually being these nature's carbon capture machines.
Because am I right in thinking that you can, shrimp like to live in these mangroves? So for parts of the world where they're looking for a sustainable way of farming, you could actually, that ecosystem would also help, am I right?
Absolutely. So the great thing about mangroves, so I actually brought, this is the thing in my hand, is a mangrove seed. So oddly about mangroves, fun fact that maybe you didn't know, Edie, is that mangroves, some people say, give live birth.
That's crazy. What does that even mean?
Okay, so this seed will hang on a tree and it'll actually sprout before it drops off the tree. And that's because a seed in the ocean has a pretty rough go of it. You have to deal with all of the salt water, obviously tides, waves, everything else. You need a little bit of a head start. But it drops off, goes and sets up shop, starts growing. And mangroves have these characteristic long roots, these prop roots.
Beautiful, right?
Very beautiful. Yeah. It's like it's an underwater mosaic or tangle. Or an apartment complex, to your point before, for marine life, for shrimp, for fish. And baby fish especially love it. If you imagine that maze, that tangle, the baby fish can hang out there, grow up, and then go out and contribute to populations which contribute food, profit, increase fisheries. So it's a really important thing that captures carbon and gives you nutrition, food, wealth, and jobs. So it's a lot of wins in that lineup.
In addition to being helpful places for communities to grow, receive income, they also provide protection, right, against storms. So tell me about that.
Absolutely. It's that same matrix of roots that when you have tangle after tangle of these set out on your coastline, they're like a living break wall. So when a storm comes rolling in, that break wall, that living break wall, can dissipate about 50% of the energy from a hurricane or a cyclone. Obviously, we're all worried about increased intensity of storms, what that means to the community. So you have that asset out there doing that service. I actually got to experience the service value of a mangrove firsthand. I was studying mangroves in Costa Rica, was sitting on a kayak, was there with my family. So this afternoon I happened to be with my daughter, who's 5 years old, on this kayak. As it is in that part of the world, a big tropical storm comes barreling in at us. You can see this thing just rolling at you. Can't get back to camp in time. Only thing to do was to paddle as fast as we could into the mangroves, as deep as we could, hang on to the mangrove roots. In comes this storm. You know, a lot of rain, but happily not a lot of wave. Our camp was totally destroyed and trees were down. Everyone thought my daughter and I were gone. Oh my God. But we sat there and sang, "Rain, rain, go away." As they say, we're totally soaked, but fine. So got a good sense of what a special, if you will, hug a mangrove can give to a coastline and protect it from all of that destructive force from storms.
That's pretty amazing. I'm kind of wondering if your daughter was thinking, you were a cool dad because you knew how to do that, or was she saying, Dad, can you just stop talking about how cool the mangroves are?
Jury's still out. She may become a banker instead of a biologist at the end of the day.
Well, speaking of what people are financing, let's talk about what is in my hand, because mangroves are the kind of positive story that you're spreading, but you're also here to talk about some of the worrying things that are going on as we seek to electrify the world and we seek to explore places to get more of these rare minerals. Where are we going?
That's right. So some good that we want done here at Davos and having those conversations, and some bad that we want to avoid doing. Just as you said, the world is thinking of fast-tracking electrification, going to a low-carbon future, a low-carbon energy regime, and we have to. Those storms, increased temperature, sea level rise, all of the problems that are coming to us fast will come if we don't actually get to that low-carbon paradigm fast. But it turns out that there are some potholes in a road to various different kinds of low carbon futures.
Right.
One of those involves that rock,
Okay.
right? So this rock is called a polymetallic nodule. This one was picked up on the flank of an undersea volcano. People are interested in these rocks, in sending 300-ton mining machines down into the ocean to mine them off the seafloor,
Right.
precisely because of electrification, because they contain some minerals that could be used in batteries. Now, mining in the oceans, maybe it's obvious, but it would be a catastrophe. There are many, many risks that could pop up. One is that a lot of animals like to use these habitats.
So who likes to hang out next to these nodules?
Well, hundreds of species, some of them brand new to science we haven't even discovered, but there is actually an octopus just discovered by deep sea biologists that uses this rock to lay its eggs on. There are deep sea corals that live, some of the oldest animals in the world that live on those undersea volcanoes. We lose a lot of biodiversity. The mining can create plumes, which could be harmful for fisheries, harmful for the capacity of oceans to sequester carbon. So it would be a real challenge for us to pursue mining in the oceans.
Okay, so a seriously cautious, a story there of deep caution. What is your message to people watching this video? What do you want them to do in order to support either your work or the work of others who are working around these issues?
I'd say maybe on both of these conversations that we picked up, there's a lot of influence why an ocean scientist is in Davos, a lot of influence from the business community on shaping the ocean future. It seems a little weird, but indeed a lot of things that happen in the oceans will be shaped here in Davos. For blue carbon, I'd say for viewers, look for companies that are going net zero and on their pathway to net zero are investing in ocean resources like blue carbon. Second, for thinking about avoiding issues like ocean mining, think of companies that are going fast to electrification, but are avoiding those potholes, are not going in on ocean mining. And there are a bunch of companies here who have said, we're going to crank out a bunch of EVs, we're going to electrify grids across the planet, but we're saying no to ocean mining. That includes companies like BMW and Google and Samsung and Volkswagen. So do your homework on both of these issues. You may not think you have a connection to mangroves or something you need help, or to these deep sea rock and these deep sea octopi, but indeed you can.
Doug, thank you very much for stopping by the Hub Culture Pavilion here in Davos in summer. And I'm Edie Lash.
Thank you, Edie.